Thank you very much, DG Pumla Williams. Good morning to all those who are watching this live broadcast. As the DG has already indicated, we are here to speak to South Africa on the outcomes of the virtual cabinet meeting that was held yesterday. We therefore welcome all those that will be listening to us, and again repeat what we always say: we don't take your listening to us for granted. We appreciate it. The cabinet, amongst others, reflected on the coronavirus level 2, alert level 2, and it is of the firm view that the move from alert level 3 to alert level 2 of the national lockdown with effect from August 18, 2020 has resulted in the welcome relaxation of restrictions on some of the socio-economic activities. This significant transition from level 3 to level 2 will inevitably revive our economy and contribute to the creation of much-needed jobs, particularly in the tourism and hospitality industry. Alert level 2 will make it possible once again for ministers to present themselves before the two houses of parliament, the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces, to, amongst others, answer questions from members of parliament. While the second wave of infections experienced by several other countries is an ever-present possibility, our collective actions over the next few weeks and months can prevent that from happening and will determine how quickly we move further forward. Cabinet calls on everyone to take extra precautions and practice responsible behavior, do the right things so that we avoid a second peak of infections. Government is working with social partners and communities to ensure that districts are adequately resourced and organized to contain the spread of the coronavirus. Our nation has made great strides in fighting the pandemic. Our good work, all of us, all South Africans, from various positions, those at home, those at schools, those at the various workplaces, we have done very, very well. And indeed, it is because of this work that all of us have collectively contributed to that we have seen the infections going down in our country. And we are proud that collectively, as we have always said, we have been able to confront this disease and hit it where it matters most. But again, we have not defeated this virus. As we all know, unfortunately, our good work is being undermined by the reckless actions of some people who refuse to take personal responsibility to prevent the spread of the virus. Those who drive under the influence of alcohol and behave recklessly are endangering the lives of innocent people. As a result of such reckless behavior, again, as we all know, this week we mourn the untimely death of 3 Tshwane Metro Police Department officers who lost their lives in a tragic crash with a drunk driver this past weekend. This fatal accident is a wake-up call to all of us, individually and collectively, to reflect on what we can do to begin acting responsibly and playing our part in curbing alcohol abuse. Cabinet urges all people in South Africa to continue observing the health protocols even during alert level 2. That we are in alert level 2 does not mean that the threat of infections has disappeared. We must all maintain social distancing, wear our masks regularly in public places, and regularly wash our hands with water and soap or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. These are the key messages that have made us to be able to fight against this coronavirus. And not only us as a country, but all countries of the world have used these 3 protocols to fight against COVID-19, particularly in the absence of a vaccine. We therefore once again would like to repeat that let's continue wearing our masks, let's continue social distancing, because the only way of getting this disease is through contact. So if we are unable to contact one another, we make it impossible for this disease to spread amongst us. But of course, we should also continue to regularly wash our hands, because we can also get this disease from surfaces. So if we wash our hands regularly or use sanitizers, we will indeed mitigate against us getting this disease from anything, including surfaces. The second matter that we want to speak to is return to school and tertiary institutions. Cabinet welcomed the reopening of primary and secondary schools under our Department of Basic Education this past Monday, the 24th of May 2020, the 24th of August, 2020. Grades 6 and 11 learners returned to classes on Monday, while grade 7 and 12 learners returned last month following the temporary closure of schools to prevent the potential spread of COVID-19. Cabinet also welcomed the announcement that under Alert Level 2 lockdown, all universities will be allowing the controlled return of students to campus-based tuition in line with the criteria published in the Government Gazette, Volume 660, number 4314 on 8 June 2020. According to the criteria developed, under Level 2 of the lockdown, a maximum of 66% of students will be allowed to return to university campuses. Cabinet also welcomed the staggered return of technical and vocational education and training colleges students, the reopening of community education and training centers, and the return of staff to their workplace. This will be done in terms of the detailed COVID-19 management plans in place across the sector and to ensure the continued safety of students and staff while allowing for greater access to campus teaching and learning for more students. Of course, we also know that even the Department of Basic Education has put in protocols to mitigate against either teachers or learners contracting COVID-19 in our basic education institutions. Cabinet will continue to support the Minister of Basic Education and indeed the Minister of Higher Education in ensuring that we as South Africa do not lose the 2020 schooling and academic year. In this regard, they can bank on us, teachers can bank on us, the students at universities can bank on us, and indeed, all our pupils at various schools can bank on us as well as our teachers in all those institutions. The third matter I want to speak to is anti-corruption. Cabinet reiterated its commitment to ensure that allegations of corruption relating to COVID-19 procurement are swiftly investigated by law enforcement agencies such as the Special Investigating Unit. Those implicated must and should be severely punished. And money stolen from the state by unscrupulous companies and individuals must indeed be recovered. Cabinet is also pleased with the progress made by the Committee of Ministers appointed a few weeks ago by Cabinet and President, chaired by Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronald Lamola. The team of ministers was expected to coordinate the compilation of all the COVID-19 procurements and make it accessible to the public. Perhaps we should at this stage again reiterate that this committee was not established to investigate anything, because it doesn't have the capacity nor the powers to investigate. People with the powers to investigate any wrongdoing in the procurement are our law enforcement authorities. This committee was established to compile, as we say in our statement, what has been procured throughout the length and breadth of government as it relates to PPEs, whether at local government level by our municipalities, whether at provincial levels, whether at national departments levels, or whether in our state-owned entities. Indeed, this committee has been able to compile all that information, and working together with Treasury, this committee has been able to put all that information for people to access it in the National Treasury's website. And if you want to access all that information of what has been procured, by which national department, by which provincial department, by which SOE, at what prices, you can go to www.treasury.gov.za. And we can assure all South Africans that all that information is now there. Where there are still shortages of information, we are pursuing those who are very, very few, who have not given us all the information we need, so that that information is made available to the public. That was the essence why this committee was created, to compile all the information around procurement of PPEs throughout the length and breadth of our country, and secondly, make that information available to the public. We have then done so. National Treasury will continue with additional work to refine the submitted information for further processing. Cabinet reaffirms that law enforcement agencies will continue to be responsible for the investigative work, not this committee. Law enforcement agencies will continue to investigate where there is allegation of wrongdoing, and indeed also bring to book any people who might be implicated. The Fusion Center, which coordinates the work of all law enforcement agencies, remain on track to present its first 6-weekly report in the first week of September 2020 to President Cyril Ramaphosa. That is the group of law enforcement agencies that is seized with this matter. They include your SIU, they include your Hawks, they include your NPA. So you have a collaboration of all law enforcement agencies, from those that arrest, from those that prosecute, and those that ensure that we remain in prison if we have done anything wrong. So all of them are now meeting and coordinating together at a place called the Fusion Center here in Johannesburg, where all this information from the various law enforcement agencies is brought together so that indeed they can, in a collaborative way, deal with any malfeasance and any wrongdoing and any fraudulent behavior that emanates from procurement of PPEs, as directed, by the way, by the President, Cyril Ramaphosa. And as we are saying, they have a responsibility to report to the President how far they are doing. We are saying in our statement they will be doing their report this coming September, and they will also report on a 6-weekly basis to the President on how far they are doing in curbing corruption, fighting those that are found with their hands in the till, and making sure that people appear before courts to answer for their greed. Cabinet will give the necessary support to all law enforcement agencies. This will include giving them the resources they need to function optimally, independently, without fear, favor, and prejudice, in facilitating the investigation and prosecution of corrupt-related cases without any further delay. The scourge of corruption, which manifests itself in the blatant theft and looting of state resources, is the biggest societal cancer that has the potential to erode public trust in government's considered efforts to improve the lives of the people. What is even more distressing and disappointing is that this form of corruption, as the President has said, robs the poor of much needed assistance from our government. Is this money that should be directed to buy PPEs to protect our poorest of the poor, even in the workplace, that gets diverted to pockets of individuals? Cabinet condemns in the strongest possible terms all acts of corruption and is confident that all wrongdoers will eventually be prosecuted. Cabinet calls on all South Africans to report corruption to the National Anti-Corruption Hotline. Let's all be part of the fight against corruption. Let's all be izimpimpi against corruption. And the hotline is, a National Anti-Corruption Hotline is 0800 701 701. Very simple. 0800 701 701. If you know of any corrupt activities, of course, for now, our focus is on PPEs. But any corrupt activity, this is the number that you can call so that you assist our law enforcement agencies to crack corruption and bring to book all those that are doing fraudulent and corrupt activities. We now come to decisions that have been taken by Cabinet. The first decision that Cabinet has taken is the training program for members of the executive and senior managers in the public service. Cabinet has approved 2 training programs that will give effect to the commitment of building the capacity of the state. We have all of us from time to time said that we need to enhance the capacity of the state. Indeed, these training programs are meant to achieve exactly that. The first one is the Economic Governance Spring School Training for members of the executive from all spheres of government. Ministers, deputy ministers at national level, MECs and premiers at provincial levels, mayors and their excos at local level. So it's for all of us, all those of us who are in executive positions in government. We will then be party to this Economic Governance Spring School. It is designed to broaden learning perspectives through analysis and critical reflection on the nature of challenges of government, particularly under this difficult environment. It will be conducted by the National School of Government, the NSG, in partnership with the Vet School of Governance and the Mthembu School of Leadership. There are those of us who believe that you are never too wise to learn, and you are never too old to continue to learn. Therefore, on those bases, Cabinet has welcomed that all of us will go back to school under the Economic Governance Spring School to get some more knowledge on analysis and critical reflection on the nature of challenges of government. The second program is designed for heads of departments. It consists of 3 components, namely an executive induction program, executive education program, and a new program to be called Electoral. These programs will be conducted by the NSG in partnership with the University College of London. As I speak about these training programs, as Cabinet was reflecting on this, Cabinet said that if there is one thing that we have always been accused of as government, is our inability to implement wonderful policy positions and policies that we have put in the public domain to enhance service delivery. But what has always been a difficulty is implementation. We are hopeful that these training programs for both the ministers, deputy ministers, MECs, premiers and mayors and excos will assist us in confronting this inability to implement what are very good policies and therefore robbing our people service delivery. We therefore have welcomed these training programs. The second matter that the Cabinet has approved is the postponement of the hosting of the 2020 International Maritime Organization. Owing to the COVID-19 pandemic, Cabinet has approved the postponement of the hosting of the IMO, the International Maritime Organization, and its parallel event of World Maritime Day from October 2020 to October 2021. Cabinet had approved the hosting of this event in November 2015. So again, we are saying to Minister of Transport, we are still supportive of the hosting of this event. And indeed, the Minister and all stakeholders have said it will almost be impossible this year to get all these important players and stakeholders to gather on our shores. As we all know, for now, there is no international travel. So because of all these reasons, because of COVID-19, we have agreed with the Minister of Transport as Cabinet that let's have these events, the International Maritime Organization meeting or conference, as well as the World Maritime Day in October 2021, as we will be celebrating the Transport Month. We will also have these very seminal activities on our shores. Cabinet has also approved a number of bills. One of those bills is the Agriculture Produce Agents Amendment Bill of 2018. Cabinet approved the submission of the Agriculture Produce Agents Amendment Bill of 2018 to Parliament. The amendments seek to protect the rights of the producers from unregulated aspects of the fresh produce agents. Once passed into law, the agents will, amongst others, be compelled to take out fidelity insurance and keep trust accounts. The amendments proposed in the bill were fully canvassed with all relevant stakeholders. The changes will also improve market access opportunities for smallholder producers as well as previously disadvantaged market agents, traders and hawkers. So indeed, Cabinet has agreed that this Agricultural Produce Agents Amendment Bill must proceed to Parliament. The second bill that the Cabinet has approved is the Sectional Titles Amendment Bill. Cabinet approved the submission of the bill to Parliament. The bill amends the Sectional Titles Act 1986, which provides for the establishment of sectional title schemes. The proposed amendments provide clarity and protect the lessees in the properties under the sectoral arrangement buildings. So indeed, the second bill that Cabinet has agreed that it must proceed to Parliament is the Sectional Titles Amendment Bill. The third bill that Cabinet also agreed that must proceed to Parliament is the Electoral Laws Amendment Bill of 2020. Cabinet approved the submission of the Electoral Laws Amendment Bill of 2020 to Parliament. The bill amends three pieces of legislation, namely the Electoral Commission Act, Electoral Act of 1998, and Local Government Municipal Electoral Act of 2000. The proposed changes will enhance the existing legislative mechanism. The amendments will, amongst others, introduce innovations in electoral practices in keeping with best practices to improve the Independent Electoral Commission's efficiency in managing elections. The last item that we will speak to is appointments. Under this item, Cabinet has extended the contract of Mr. Hubert Matanzima Mweli as the Director General at the Department of Basic Education for a further 5 years. As we all know, the DG Mweli has been with the Department of Education for 5 years to date. Cabinet has then acceded to the request by the Minister of Basic Education that his contract be extended by another 5 years from this year. You can then do your counting. Cabinet also approved the following members to the South African Post Office Board. The members are Mr. Emmanuel Lechau, Ms. Nolita Peters, Mr. Sandile Philip, Mr. Sipoma Jombozi, and Ms. Yvette Lillian Mavivi Nyaga Manzini. These are the new board members for the South African Post Office. The cabinet also approved the new non-executive directors of the Post Bank. And these are Mr. Kobani Mangochwa, Mr. Darwin Zinzile Nkonki, Mr. Tabile Wongi, and Advocate Lay Hefa Hendriksen. These are the matters that emanate from the cabinet virtual meeting of yesterday. Thank you very much. DG, now I also say to other people, thank you very much to my DG, Pumla Williams.
Thank you very much, Minister. We will entertain questions of clarity. Can I start with the callers? Peliswa.
Thanks, DG. We still don't have calls this side.
Thank you. What's up?
Thank you, DG. We have 2 questions so far. The first one is from Brian Sogutu from The Citizen. And he's saying Minister Mthembu has conceded that rampant corruption has damaged government's reputation. How is government going to win back public trust when past investigations have not yielded results? Okay. The next question is from Anton from Pretoria FM. Did Cabinet discuss a possible reintroduction of the alcohol ban?
All right, there you go. The media briefing with regards to Cabinet's meeting that was held yesterday. Minister Jackson Mthembu starting off with, I guess, what everybody is talking about, COVID-19 and the strides that South Africa has made in this regard. And he says, as a nation, we've made great strides in fighting COVID-19, but still saying our collective action will determine how we move forward with regards to this disease, because the possibility of a resurgence, of a surge, of a second peak with regards to COVID-19 is all too real and all too possible. So saying that we need to emphasize and maintain the health protocols, which is physical distancing, wearing a mask, as well as washing or sanitizing your hands. With regards to alcohol, he says that the reckless use of alcohol is really endangering the lives of people, and we really need to curb alcohol abuse. He went on to clarify the role of the Interministerial Committee with regards to PPE, and he says that they compile all the information regarding PPE procurement nationwide and make it public, and saying that law enforcement agencies will deal with allegations of corruption and malfeasance and not this committee, and saying that there is an online publication of a list of COVID-19 related government expenditure, saying the scourge of corruption is the biggest societal cancer, and no doubt it erodes trust with regards to the public perception of what government is doing as well. He says with regards to Cabinet's call on citizens to report corruption, he's given us a hotline, the National Anti-Corruption Hotline. I'll give it to you now. It's 0800 701 701. Pretty simple. We'll try to put it up on our Twitter page as well. 0800 701 701. That's the Anti-Corruption Hotline number, and he's urged citizens to play their part in reporting corruption. All right, that's basically in a nutshell what the minister had to say. Lots to cover this morning. The State Capture Commission is